Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of Hold My Drink, a sobriety podcast. I'm your host, India Gants, and I hope that this podcast can serve as a safe space for anybody and everybody, whether you're looking to limit your alcohol a bit, maybe you're sober curious, or maybe you're already a sober person and just want to find some community and other people who are on your same path. So with that said, let's get into today's episode. Welcome to Hold My Drink, a sobriety podcast. This is a no judgment zone. I really freaking like my life without alcohol. You're not alone. I hope you feel seen. Sobriety has changed my life completely. A couple little PSAs. Number one, this is a no judgment zone. You're not going to judge me, and I'm not going to judge you. My DMs are always open, by the way. You can find me at India Gants on all social media platforms. Shoot me an Instagram DM, and you can tell me about your story. You can ask me questions. I will never judge you, and I hope you don't judge me either. This is a safe space for anyone on their sober journey, no matter where you're at. So welcome, and thank you for being here. And this is really special because when I was at the beginning of my sobriety, I didn't really tell anyone. I was doing it very much on my own. And so I turned to online communities, TikTok, Instagram, podcasts, YouTube, audiobooks. I did it all. And those communities online really, really helped me. So I hope that this can be a resource for you and you can find some sense of community on your sober journey as well. I know a lot of people choose to do AA for that reason because you meet a lot of other people who are in your shoes and going through the same thing. But I did not do AA myself, and I think AA can be great if that works for you. I don't know a lot of the details on it and like their 12-step program and all that stuff. I'm not super familiar because it's not what I did and it's not how I got sober. I use the internet and the communities that come along with that. So I want to create a little online community myself that you guys can all be a part of. Welcome. You're in. You've made it. So another message I just want to share is that this podcast is not going to be preachy. I'm not going to be convincing you to quit drinking. I truly believe that if you want to stop drinking, that has to come from within. I don't think any amount of convincing or intervention can get somebody to quit. Even if it does get them to quit, I don't think that forcing somebody to stop drinking or convincing somebody to stop drinking is a long-lasting method to that person not drinking. I think that success in sobriety has to come from the individual themselves. So I am never going to try to convince you to stop drinking. And I don't judge people who drink. I think it's great. I go out with people who drink all the time. I think it's fun. Those people probably have a little bit better relationship with alcohol than I did. And that's great. I'm jealous of them. I'm not going to be those people. I don't want to be those people, but I don't judge them and I function perfectly well with people who drink. So, like I said, this podcast is not to tell you to quit drinking. It is just a community to talk about sobriety in an open and pretty casual environment. I got sober in a really untraditional way, and so I hope that we can talk about sobriety in a less serious, less traditional way. And I'm not going to convince you not to drink, but I am going to be sharing all the amazing benefits that I've experienced after I got sober, and all the health benefits, the weight loss, the mental clarity, the success in my health and wealth and relationships and everything. Sobriety has completely changed my life. And so while I won't convince you not to drink, if you accidentally get sober from listening to this podcast and hearing about all the amazing benefits of sobriety, then sorry about that, my bad. But yeah, I'm not going to be begging you not to drink. It's just a podcast to talk about sobriety. So speaking of that, the first thing on my list of things to talk about is just a small little bullet point. How quitting drinking has changed my life. Like, where do I begin? That's a loaded question. So I'm going to be talking about how quitting alcohol has changed my life in probably every episode. But just to give you the surface level, a couple of little tidbits. Sobriety has changed my life completely. Right around the time that I got sober, I also moved states. So I moved from Southern California to Washington, Seattle, my hometown, to be closer to my family. with that, I also broke up with my boyfriend that I had down there. I packed up all the stuff that I could fit into my little sedan, and I sold everything else that I owned, and I made the drive up here as a single person with no belongings. And shortly after that, I got laid off from my job. So I was newly single, newly sober, newly unemployed, and new to a new city. So lots of new things. And all of that makes me so happy looking back. Like, I kind of believe that all those crazy things happened all at once, so that I could start setting up the life that I wanted for myself. That's actually one of the reasons I stopped drinking, is because I didn't have the life that I wanted. I think that's why a lot of people quit drinking, is because they kind of take a step back and they're like, this is not where I want to be. Whether it's in their career, their family life, their romantic relationships, their kind of milestones or stepping stones to where they want to be are not in place. They're not where they want to be. And that was a big reason why I quit drinking. But other ways that quitting alcohol has changed my life, and how other people notice that it's changed my life, is in my physical appearance. I've lost about 30 pounds, and that's amazing. I also paired my sobriety with weightlifting. I think that a lot of people get into the gym after they quit an addictive substance like alcohol. But anyway, so I lost about 30 pounds, but I think the way that people notice it the most is in my skin clarity and radiance all throughout my body. I mean, I was a little chubby when I was drinking, and not in the way of like, you know, she's been eating quite a bit. She put on some weight. But I looked inflamed. I looked bloated. I looked chunky, like very cellulite-y. I had a lot of like veins that you could see. I looked unhealthy. My face was really red and puffy, and I look a lot healthier now after just over 7 months of sobriety. Woohoo! 7 months. That was cringe. Yes, 7 months. I've been sober for 7 months. Very cool, very exciting. I'm very proud of that, and I can't wait to reach the 1 year mark soon. So exciting. Like I said, I got sober in an untraditional way, and just kind of like a medical PSA, if you are a heavy drinker and thinking about getting sober, please talk to a doctor. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to tell anyone in my family, any one of my friends. I even didn't want to tell my boyfriend at the time that I was planning on getting sober, because what if I didn't? Or what if I failed? That would be so embarrassing. So, or at least that's what I thought. I wanted to get sober alone and quietly, but my advice to you is that even if you want to get sober alone and quietly like I did, please tell a doctor. Let the doctor be that one person that you tell, because they will not judge you. No matter how bad you think you are, they've seen worse. They would rather you tell them what you're going through and be honest so that they can help you get through those early stages of sobriety. Because fun fact, alcohol, the amazing drug that it is one of the only drugs that can kill you from quitting. So it's very dangerous to quit cold turkey. I did quit cold turkey, and I can tell you guys more about that later. I did some very weird things to kind of wean myself off of alcohol. But I ultimately did quit cold turkey, and I did not get help from a doctor. And that can be really dangerous. So I just wanted to put that PSA out there that if you are looking to get sober, please talk to a doctor. I did not do any sort of rehab detox. I did not do even AA after I got sober. So I got sober in an untraditional way. And I found a lot of support in finding people online who also got sober in the way that I did. And so I hope that no matter what, if you choose to do a detox and AA, that is great. And I think you should. That is where most people turn when they're looking to get sober, and it works. It gives you that sense of community, and that's awesome. But I hope that this podcast can also serve as a community for you and a resource. And whether you're looking to do all those 12-step programs, AA, detox, whatever else, or you're just looking to do it how I did, kind of on my own, then this podcast is for you. And I hope that it will support you on your journey, whatever that looks like. I feel like I'm just doing the morning announcements at school or something like that. But another announcement I want to make is that you won't hear me using the words addict or alcoholic. I don't find comfort in using those words, and I very much don't find comfort in other people using those words to describe me. It's so funny because I'm like not a very sensitive person. I love a good joke. Make fun of me. It's hilarious, even about something so sensitive like sobriety. Let's talk about it. Let's laugh about it. But for some reason, the words addict and alcoholic make me angry. I am sensitive to those words, and I don't like other people calling me those words when I haven't come out and said those words to them. So you won't hear me using those words. And you know what? A lot of people, and I think the AA and their 12-step program, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the first step is to admit that you have a problem. And so some people find a lot of peace in using the word alcoholic and saying, you know, like they do in the meetings, hi, my name is India and I'm an alcoholic. And some people find a lot of peace in just saying that. So I get that. And I do think that recognizing your problems is a good thing to move forward. But those two words I don't like. So you won't hear me using the word addict or alcoholic during this podcast. And I know that's a little bit of a different that's a turn from a lot of the other programs and resources that are out there. So hopefully you're okay with that. If you're not, that's okay too. You can call yourself whatever you want. I just will not be using those words myself. I'm losing my train of thought a little bit because big whoop, I recorded this entire podcast already. And of course, you know, it's the first episode and I wasn't recording the audio. So I'm redoing it completely and I'm kind of forgetting what I said before and what I haven't said yet. So I might just be jumping around a little bit, making sure that I'm hitting all my points that I wanted to make for this first episode. In this episode, I really just wanted to announce what it will be like on this show, what you can expect, and just kind of set the tone for what this podcast is going to be like. Because like I said, a lot of sobriety podcasts and books and TV shows are so serious. You know what I mean? Like, don't drink alcohol, you're gonna die. And while that may be true, I'm not gonna be saying that. Okay. I am so understanding of people who are going through the struggle of early sobriety. I'm understanding of people who drink and are never going to stop drinking. And I understand people who are fully sober and don't want anything to do with alcohol. This is not going to be any sort of podcast to scare people away or intimidate you. I just want this to be the most comfortable place to come and listen and hang out and talk about a subject that I am passionate about. Although it's not my entire identity and I'm like shoving it down your throat all the time, it is something that I enjoy talking about and just analyzing because it's so interesting, the world that we live in. Alcohol has become so commercialized. It's so normal. In fact, it's more weird if you don't do alcohol. It's the only drug where people judge you for not doing it. So interesting. So the reason that I was bringing up the fact that I had already recorded this was because there's something I wanted to say and I have no idea what it related to. So I'm just going to jump right into it. In early sobriety, I think it's really important to recognize your triggers. And I was not a social drinker. I did drink while I was out. Of course, if there was alcohol available, you know I was drinking it. But my favorite place to drink was alone at home. So places where I'm alone are actually a lot more triggering to me than places where there's lots of people around, lots going on, fun things to watch and do, like at a bar. I actually still love going to the bar. I just order a non-alcoholic beer, my favorite. And it has Budweiser plastered across the front or Heineken. Most people don't even know you're not drinking. Not that it matters. We don't drink for ourselves. We do not drink for other people. Okay, that didn't make any sense. Anyway, I like going out to the bars. That's not a trigger for me. But the reason that I was saying it's important to identify your triggers is so not that you can avoid them, but so that you can learn really good tactics to make it through those temptations. By the way, cravings only last 30 minutes. I don't know what scientific study that is, but I have heard on my sobriety journey that a craving lasts 30 minutes. So if you just think to yourself, like, I got to make it through this 30 minutes, that's a short amount of time. You can make it through 30 minutes on those random occasions where you are really tempted to drink. So just find a little bit of peace in that. Like, a craving's only 30 minutes. Wow, I can make it through that. So a trigger for me, if I'm being fully transparent, the most triggering place for me is at the airport. Your girl loved an airport drink because there's no judgment at the airport. It could be 6 a.m. and there's people sitting at the bar by themselves drinking whiskey neat. And nobody even blinks an eye. I mean, they could have just come off the plane from Australia and it's the middle of the night. You never know. So I'm not going to judge that person. And that's what everyone's thinking at the airport. And so, I think to myself walking into the airport, I'm alone. Nobody in my group or party is going to see me because I'm by myself. Nobody at the airport is going to judge me for sitting at the bar alone because everyone's alone. They're traveling, they're on business, whatever. And nobody's going to judge me for drinking alone because it's the airport. You could be drinking because you're nervous for the flight. You could be drinking, to take the edge off or to kill time because you're waiting for 6 hours at the airport. Nobody judges you at the airport for drinking alone. And that's why I think it was so triggering for me. And I do remember the first time that I walked into an airport after I got sober. And I felt this intense feeling of like, whoa. It's almost like my body was on autopilot. I was headed to the bar to sit down and order my double shot Bloody Mary. By the way, my drink of choice was usually beer and wine, but I loved a Bloody Mary at the airport. It was like my process at the airport. If it was the evening though, of course I would have a couple of my beers and then have a quick shot of whiskey before I got on the flight. Anyway, just a little insight into my airport behaviors. So I remember the first time I walked into the airport after I got sober, and it just was like, it like rushed over me. Like, whoa, I feel like I'm going to the bar to get a drink, right? But it's like, no, wow. It's my first experience at the airport where I'm not going to go sit at the bar and have a drink by myself. And so what did I do? You have to find other coping mechanisms for those triggers. And that's why identifying them is so important. Now I know that the airport is a time where I feel like drinking. And so I've developed other strategies to enjoy the airport and function in the airport without alcohol. So an alcoholic beverage is a treat, right? Like, it feels good. You get relaxed. It tastes good. I think it does. It takes the edge off before the flight, helps you sleep on the flight. It's a treat at the airport. And you don't care about the price because you're at the airport. So you sit down and you have one and you spend loads of money. So I still want to treat myself. I think it's really important if you were drinking like as a special treat. Maybe you go to the bar and it's a treat, you're going out. You still have to treat yourself. When I went on a cruise, there was alcohol everywhere. Oh my God. It was hard to avoid the alcohol. They were just throwing it at you this way and that. But there were still other treats to enjoy, such as the frozen yogurt machine and the unlimited soda package, which I got. There are little desserts. There's a candy shop. All the cruises I've been on, there was a candy shop. And this cruise was the first one where I actually bought something at the candy shop. Why would I waste calories on candy when I could drink? That was my mentality before. Now I'll enjoy the candy because I'm not having all those drinks. Or a blended coffee drink. Anyway, I am getting so off track. But what I'm saying is still treat yourself. So back to the airport, okay? At the airport now, I get myself a sweet treat. So whether that's like the Nerds clusters or I like the little mini chewy Starbursts. And then I'll get a savory snack. If you know, the Chex Mix, but those big brown pieces, they have a bag of just the brown pieces. They're like rye bread, little crackers. Anyway, they're delicious. So I get my one sweet item for the flight. I get my one savory item. I get one fun drink, like a Diet Dr. Pepper. I get a water, and I walk out of that place. The total is usually like $40-something, which is expensive, but it's not as expensive as 3 beers and a shot plus a side of fries, okay? So you are still saving money by avoiding alcohol and going crazy in those little Hudson News shops at the airport. Get yourself the sweet treat. Get something to enjoy on the flight. I think that's really important to still give yourself something special, especially in the early days of sobriety when you're really adjusting to not having this big special thing in your life. Give yourself a special treat outside of alcohol. By the way, there are so many fun drinks and snacks and things that I just would not eat because I was drinking. I used to always do that calorie analysis of like, okay, 1 Coors Light is 100 calories. This candy is 100 calories. I'd rather have the Coors Light. And like a blended coffee drink. Again, on this, I just got back from a cruise. There was a blended coffee stand. And I'm like, oh my God, I used to say, oh my God, that's probably 300 calories. I could have 3 Coors Lights instead. Like, no, I'm not going to get that blended coffee drink. I'd rather drink alcohol. And now I get that blended coffee drink. And it's fantastic. There's Shirley Temples. When's the last time you had one of those? They're freaking delicious. There are so many fun things to drink other than alcohol. So let yourself have the fun drink. And that's a big sobriety tip from me. I'm going to round out this episode with 3 common questions that I get asked. I'm sure if you're sober, you get asked these questions all the time as well. But I just want to somewhat rapid fire 3 questions to round out the episode, and then I will see you on the next episode. I am going to be releasing 3 episodes per week. They're mostly just going to be 15 to 30 minute little snippets talking about getting sober, staying sober, the highs and lows of doing that, random experiences, tips and tricks, everything sobriety, girl. Okay, so 3 common questions that I get asked. Number 1, why don't you drink? Another loaded question. Wow. And my least favorite question to be asked by strangers. But anyway, the second question is going to be, did you drink a lot and how much did you drink before you got sober? Number 3, will you ever drink again? All right, let's run through them. Why don't you drink? Transparently, for you guys, I was developing an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, big time. I was drinking when you really shouldn't be. And above all else, I was not achieving the goals that I had set for myself. The life that I envisioned for myself at the age that I was 28 years old when I got sober. I'm still 28. I was freshly 28 when I got sober. And I was not where I wanted to be in life, career-wise, relationship-wise, kind of like family-wise. I was far away from my family, and I always felt like I needed to be close to my family. I hadn't purchased an investment property. I still haven't, but at least I'm paving the way for that, which is a major, major goal of mine because I'm very interested in real estate and short-term rentals, hospitality, more so. So I wasn't where I wanted to be. And so that's a big reason why I don't drink anymore, is because I want to get to where I want to be. And there's no point in cutting my day off at 3 p.m. and starting to drink my life away from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. instead of actually putting in the work to achieve my goals. 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. is 7 hours I would waste sitting in front of the TV drinking alcohol and not being productive. Now, I'm not saying I'm productive every single night of my life, but I'm a lot more productive than sitting on my bum for 7 hours every evening drinking. So now I use some of those hours to work towards my goals and become a better version of myself. And I must admit, I'm doing a pretty good job of it. I really like the trajectory that my life is on, and sobriety has really helped me get there. I'll move on to the next one in just a second. But one other reason that I don't drink is for health reasons. And when I was drinking, the health reason was because I thought I looked kind of chubby and bloated and I had cellulite and I looked really unhealthy and I was at a weight that I had never seen on the scale before. I did not like the way I looked. And so that encouraged me to get sober. Once I got sober, the health benefits are primarily what has kept me sober. And it's way beyond the physical appearance. It is the fact that alcohol is linked with dementia and liver disease and cancer and diabetes and premature aging and like literally everything. We all know alcohol is not good for you. That's no surprise. So yeah, the health benefits now are what I'm really passionate about. And we will talk about health, brain health and organ health and all that stuff in some future episodes. But that's what's kept me sober. One of the things that got me sober was my physical health, like being out of shape, and things like that. Okay. So hopefully that rounds it out. I gave you like 3 different answers for why I don't drink anymore. And I could probably go on and on and on about why I don't drink. But those are my 3 big hitters. Okay. People often want to know how much I drank before I got sober and if it was a lot. The short answer is yes, it was a lot. Now, I don't even know how to describe how much I drank, like in numbers. I remember I would wake up every morning and try to remember how many drinks I had the day before. I don't say the night before, I say the day before because oftentimes it was an all-day extravaganza. Yeah, it was a lot. And like I said, Coors Lights were my go-to when I was at home, or sometimes wine. And Coors Lights are they are low calorie, but low alcohol percentage. And so I could drink a lot of them. So how much I drank per day? Yeah, it was up there and it was different every day. So I really can't give an exact number, but it was a lot and it was every day. I think that's the big hitter is I don't remember a day towards the end of my heavy drinking there that I didn't drink even for one day. Now this is a really sad story, but like I said, no judgment. Okay. I had to go on antibiotics and you can't drink on antibiotics. But guess what? I did. And that's horrible. It reverses the effects of your antibiotics, and it's really bad for your liver when the antibiotics are already kicking your gut and then you wash it down with a little booze. Also horrible for your liver. So I guess hopefully that'll give you some insight into how I was drinking. Like I didn't even take a day off when I was on antibiotics. Not great. So yes, I drank a lot and, yeah, you don't have to have drank in the same way that I did to understand this podcast and be a part of this podcast. But if you did drink like I did, which was alone at home a lot and every day, then I hope that you feel safe here. Because this is making me emotional, but it's hard to find people who drink exactly how you drink or drank the same as you drank in the past tense. But when I did find a couple of creators on like TikTok that drank the way that I drank, it felt really good that I wasn't alone. So if you drink the same way that I do, or you used to drink the same way that I did, I hope you feel seen and you're not alone, and welcome to the community. Okay. Whoa. Emotions. Hello. Okay. Number 3. Will you ever drink again? The short answer is no, baby. No. Quitting drinking has improved my life in so many ways. I can't think of a reason that I would want to drink. Even the most special occasions, let's say my wedding day or my best friend's wedding or, I don't know, other special occasions. Having a drink on those days, it doesn't even feel special to have the drink because it would be throwing away all the progress that I've made. And I would also just have instant regret. By the time I get married, which might be in years and years and years from now, but by the time I get married, I hope that I will be many years sober. And I ain't just going to throw that away for a champagne flute on my wedding day. No. There's nothing that could convince me to drink again, I don't think. And sometimes I think to myself, now I have such a better perspective on alcohol, and I'm aware of all the health benefits of not drinking, so I probably wouldn't want to drink, right? And maybe I could become somebody who drinks in a healthier way. But no, it's not worth even risking it. I'm uninterested. I'm a better person for myself. I'm a better person for others. And I really freaking like my life without alcohol. So no, I have no plans to ever drink again. And sometimes when people ask me that, I'm almost like too shy to tell them, no, I'm never going to drink again. Because again, it's that feeling of like, what if I do? Then I'm going to let everybody down. So I don't like to give definitive answers. But I shouldn't be scared to say, no, I'm never going to drink again, because I really don't think I am. And so will I ever drink again? Frick no. It's awesome on this side of things. I got to say. So with that said, that wraps our show for today. Thank you so much for being here. Episode 1. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. And you can find me at India Gants on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Again, my DMs are always open. I've started responding to all my DMs since I got sober. I used to not respond to DMs. How crazy. But I just liked my private life a bit more and like separating my real human life from my life on social media. But now those worlds have collided. And I share a lot of my sobriety journey on Instagram and TikTok. And so I want my inbox to be a place where you can come and talk to me and get help or tell me your story or anything. So feel free to DM me, email me, whatever. Talk to me. This is open communication. And thank you again for being here, being a part of this community. And I can't wait to see how this podcast grows, how the community grows, and where we take it from here. So signing off, and I will see you for the next episode. Bye.